For the last few years, I've had this sense that everything I learned as a kid about how America's government works is completely wrong. But I had no idea how bad things actually were until I saw this one graph. Researchers at Princeton University looked at more than 20 years worth of data to answer a pretty simple question. Does the government represent the people? Now, this is what they found. This axis here represents public support for any given idea. On the left at 0% are ideas that not a single American wants. On the right at 100% are ideas that everyone supports. This axis represents the likelihood of Congress passing a law that reflects any of these ideas, from a 0 to a 100% chance. On this graph, an ideal republic would look like this. If 50% of the public supports an idea, there's a 50% chance of it becoming law. If 80% of us support something, there's an 80% chance. You get the idea. Now, most Americans would probably agree that, with a few exceptions, we should be as close to this ideal as possible. Unfortunately, the way America actually works doesn't even come close. Take an idea that nobody supports, literally nobody, and it has about a 30% chance of becoming federal law. Now, take an incredibly popular idea, the most popular idea this country has ever seen, and there's also about a 30% chance of it becoming law. This means that the number of American voters for or against any idea has no impact on the likelihood that Congress will make it law. Put another way, and I'm just going to quote the Princeton study directly here, the preferences of the average American appear to have only a minuscule, near zero, statistically non-significant impact upon public policy. So if you've ever felt like your opinion doesn't matter and that the government doesn't really care what you think, well, you're right. But there's a catch. This flat line only accounts for the bottom 90% of income earners in America. Economic elites, business interests, people who can afford lobbyists, they get their own line. Look at how much closer their line is to the ideal. When they want something, the government is much more likely to do it. And when they don't, they have the power to completely block it from happening, no matter how much the rest of the country supports it. They get what they want, and guess who ends up paying for it? We pay for it with the most expensive healthcare.
Okay, so that video is based on a Princeton study that was published in 2004, which shows that Congress is unresponsive to the will of the people. And I've been talking to you all about how democracy is a sham, right? It's supposed to be a majoritarian system, but it's actually not. It's based on manufactured consent. It's actually an oligarchy where the wealthy elite basically makes their demands on Congress, and then they basically have to sell it to the people. So it's a top-down approach where you have the media basically telling you what to support. So even if the American people don't support war, if they don't support a public policy position, then they're basically going to push it down your throat. And you're basically pushed into a binary choice between Republicans and Democrats, which the both parties are controlled by the same corporate donors. So they don't represent the will of people, neither at the federal level or at the state level, right? And a lot of times they give lip service. So you think that there's a difference between the Democrats and Republicans? There's really not. They have different rhetoric, right? You'll see the Democrats trying to be more populist, and then the Republicans trying to be more conservative. But when you actually look at their policies, they're pretty much the same. They're all pro-war. They're all pro-capitalist. They don't represent the interests of the people. So I say that democracy is a sham. And there are a lot of people who don't vote for this reason. I think some of them are just apathetic, right? That's the stigma that is put on them. But at the same time, I think there's something to be said for that, because I'm not apathetic, but I do think that the system is rigged. And so I don't know. If you are going to vote, I think that at the very least, you should vote outside of the two-party system. Now, during that debate between Jill Stein and Angela Ware, well, and I guess Bush Ware was a part of that debate also, Bush Ware made the point that your vote really doesn't count unless you're in a swing state. That is largely true. And so when you look at whose vote has the most weight, it's going to be those who don't vote at all. That's you look at when the political parties, who are they trying to curry favor with? They're trying to curry favor with the independents and those who don't vote at all. If you vote within a two-party system, they don't care about you at all. So by withholding your vote, you actually have more leverage than someone who's voting within a two-party duopoly. And if you are voting for a third party, then you also have more weight. So they don't want you to vote green or libertarian. But I want to show y'all another study, and I'm eventually going to get into this Angela Rye debacle that happened on the Breakfast Club. But I just want to give y'all a little bit of a lead up. So this was a study by the Pew Research Center. Make sure y'all can see it before I start running my mouth. Okay. So this was done in 2020. This was done this year. It's 83% of Americans believe that elected officials do not care what people like them think. This was done. This was a global study, but I'm only focusing on America. But basically, what this shows is that democracy is a sham. That all across the globe, people are saying that their elected officials do not represent the will of the people. Now, the other part of this poll shows that only 49% of Americans believe that at least one political party represents their interests. So it's a 49% split. So, I mean, I guess most people don't get that involved in politics, but when you actually are involved, like I have been in the past, been an activist in the streets and trying to mobilize people, I see that it doesn't work. Like they don't care. It's all about money. If you don't have money, then you're basically irrelevant. Now, after the Jill Stein, Angela Rye debate on the Breakfast Club, people were saying that they never heard of Jill Stein prior to this debate. Now, I've been talking to people about Jill Stein before, and I guess the response that I was getting was that political parties just don't represent the interests of the people. They should be independent, which is why they were supporting Cornel West. And I'm trying to tell people that the Green Party is not the same as the Democratic Party. Like you need to look. I know that you think that they're all the same. They're not. And I've known about Jill Stein probably since 2012 when I was a part of the Occupy movement. At that time, the Occupy people were telling me to vote for Jill Stein. And at that time, I was kind of dismissive because those Occupy people were hardcore socialists. And I was really ignorant about what socialism means, right? And so since then I've become educated on socialism. But at that time, they just sounded very ignorant because they were just basically saying, we need free healthcare, free housing. It's like, well, who's going to pay? Like, that's not how the economy works. Now that I've educated myself on socialism, I can articulate it better than they could. A lot of this stuff doesn't make sense because they'll talk about healthcare as a right. It's like, okay, when you understand what a right is, rights under natural law, the purpose of rights is to limit the government's powers, not to give you free healthcare. Now, I'm going to eventually go through Jill Stein's platform and basically give you my perspective as an anarchist because she's right on a lot of things, but I think that you can get to the same conclusion from a different angle, from a limited government angle. The solution is not more government; it's less government. If you get the government out the way, then you can get the same result. Where was I? Okay, so the reason why people don't know about these candidates is because this is a rigged system, and people are doing a straight party ticket. They're going into the ballot, voting all Democrat, all Republican. In my home state, they were actually trying to eliminate straight party voting because people are not taking the time to research their candidates. So I've talked to you all about these voter guides. Now, the League of Women Voters Guide is the one that I use when I vote. That I actually was trying to pull it up, but it's not out yet. So um, you can actually go down the line and look at your county, your city, and go from president all the way down to your city council members and choose who you want to vote for before you go on the ballot. So that way you don't have to do a straight party ticket. I think doing a straight party ticket is the laziest way to vote. You can't just vote all Democrat, all Republican. You need to see who's on the ballot because, I mean, I ran as a Green Party, and people told me after the election was over, if I knew you were on the ballot, I would have voted for you. Well, you didn't look for it, and because I was a Green Party candidate, they had these stereotypes about what a Green Party candidate would be like. But when I actually saw my platform, it's like, man, I wish I would have voted for you. Okay, well, I'm sorry that you wanted to lump all Green Party candidates. I mean, I support a lot of what the Green Party says, but at the end of the day, I am an anarchist. I'm not a libertarian because I think the libertarians are capitalists. So I don't know where I really fit in. At the end of the day, I'm an independent. But again, you should do a voter guide questionnaire. Like this is from what is this? This is from I Side With, which this is not what I use. I would use the League of Women Voters, but again, the League of Women Voters is not out yet. But you can go to each individual candidate and see what their positions are. So this is Kamala Harris. There's more specific information that you can get into with her positions on the policies. They ask all these questions. Just every time you run for office, any type of major office, they send the candidates questionnaires so that you can see what their positions are on the issues. Even if it's not on their platform, because on Kamala's, and I know I'm not pronouncing Kamala, whatever the hell her name is, I don't give a shit. On her website, she doesn't have any policies, but you have to fill out these questionnaires. Otherwise, you're going to have a bunch of blank answers. And for those of us who are serious about politics, we look at those questionnaires and really scrutinize their answers. And then we actually make an informed decision. I would advise everybody to vote this way. Don't do a straight party ticket. There may be candidates who support policies that you don't necessarily hear from within the two-party system. You need to vote based on policies, not based on the politicians themselves. So, like, for example, Jill Stein has run 3 times. To me, every election that she's run for is a new election because it's about her policies. It's not about her as a person. And then I did vote for her in 2016 because, gosh, she had a radical agenda. She was for disarming the police. She was for reparations. She was for a whole bunch of stuff that a lot of people didn't hear about, but they voted for Hillary Clinton. And then they said that we wasted our vote because we voted for Jill Stein. No, Hillary Clinton did not support. First of all, Hillary Clinton, I was not going to vote for Hillary Clinton. Hillary Clinton supported the war in Iraq. Hillary Clinton did not support same-sex marriage. Hillary Clinton supports Israel. I'm not going to vote for Hillary Clinton just to defeat Donald Trump, which I would say that Donald Trump was the lesser of the two evils between her and Donald Trump. Donald Trump supported I know he's trying to act like he's concerned. Donald Trump supported same-sex marriage before any of them. He was against the war in Iraq. He did not support Israel. Now all of a sudden he's trying to pretend that he does. Donald Trump does not. He's not pro-war. He's only saying that to garner support from his corporate donors. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and get started with this debate. It wasn't supposed to be a debate, but it turned into that with Jill Stein and Angela Rye.
Early in the morning.
The Breakfast Club.
Morning, everybody. It's DJ NV, Jess Hilarious, Charlamagne the Guy. We are the Breakfast Club. Lauren LaRosa's filling in for Jess, and we have our sister Angela Rye with us this morning, helping us out.
Hello.
And we got some special guests joining us. We have Dr. Jill Stein. Welcome.
Hello.
And Dr. Butch Ware.
Good
Welcome.
morning.
Yes, sir.
Good morning.
Morning.
We in the building.
Y'all are the Green Party presidential candidate and running mate. Tell the people, what is the Green Party and how are they different from the Democrats and the Republicans?
Well, for one thing, we don't take money from billionaires and bankers and APAC and Wall Street and the war machine. So
according to that Princeton study, politicians support policies which align with their corporate donors. So the fact that she's not taking corporate money, it speaks volumes.
People-powered party. That's what makes us totally different. That's
The only part I really want to take from this is the fact that Jill Stein said the Green Party is a people powered party, because now Kamala Harris is running this ad saying that her campaign is a people powered movement. I mean, it's almost as if she's just plagiarizing everything Jill Stein said. This is what the Democrats have been doing ever since pretty much since 2012. Even before that, if you want to count Ralph Nader, because they stole his Green New Deal. So it's almost as if what is that movie called with the cheerleaders that sit up there and copy their chairs? Everything the Green Party says. I'm sorry, how is the Democratic Party a people-powered movement? I don't even think it's a movement at all. They're corporate sponsored. It's not a movement. It's the status quo. So that's really all I wanted to take from that. Now I want to go to another clip, which starts, let's see, what time stamp was that? 8:20. Okay, let's go there.
On either side of the aisle to behave like grown folk.
Well, so you raise an interesting point around throwing your vote away, and there's actually numbers on that. Dr. Stein, you raised over $7.3 million for a recount in 2016, a recount of votes that probably actually do matter. In Michigan, for example, you acquired 51,463 votes. Of course, Donald Trump beat Hillary Clinton by 10,704 votes, and she lost by half a percentage point in Michigan. In Wisconsin, 31,006 votes. You acquired. Trump beat Hillary Clinton by 22,177 votes. In Pennsylvania, 49,485 votes, and Donald Trump beat her by a little over 67,000 votes. You engaged in raising money for a recount because our votes actually do matter. Can you talk about the results of that recount in those 3 states that I just named?
sure.
Okay, so if y'all want to hear Jill Stein's response, you can go ahead and watch the full video. But the only thing I want to say is a lot of people don't know that recount was actually funded by the Hillary Clinton campaign, that the money that Hillary Clinton had left over after she lost the election, she donated that to Jill Stein's campaign. And so for people who are saying that, I don't know, they're attacking Jill Stein for this recount and it wasn't successful, whatever, you need to attack the Democrats too, because that money came from Hillary Clinton. It came from the Democrats. So that's something a lot of people don't know about. Now let's go to another clip. Okay, here we are.
That in the Muslim community nationwide now not just talking about those 3 swing states, but nationwide, had us polling neck and neck with Kamala Harris. And actually, a new poll was just released that came out this morning. I didn't get the chance to verify it, see whether it's a scientific poll or not, that we're now leading in that race.
You guys are you're saying that you're competing in red states and battleground states. I'm sorry, y'all jump in too, but it just
this is a dope interaction. So let's keep going. You know what I'm saying? Like, for real.
There are at least 13 states
Yes.
where you all are not like on the ballot, or folks would have to write you in, or it's still contested. You're actively petitioning, for example, to be on the ballot in Rhode Island. So in those states where there are also Muslim people who you're saying you're winning over based on a poll that you're going to find the information for, what options do they have? Because if this is a 50 state strategy, y'all are short by 13.
So in every state except for 3, there are 3 states that don't allow write-in campaigns. But write-ins are doable campaigns. Joe Biden himself won a write-in in New Hampshire because he was not in the primary for various reasons. Yeah, right. But even so, even in a primary, he ran a write-in campaign and did fabulous. So having the ability to do a write-in, if the community is really motivated, and
in Wyoming, North Dakota, Kansas,
but in the overwhelming
Iowa,
majority of
Illinois.
states.
Okay, so they're attacking her because she's not on the ballot in all states, but they don't understand the hurdles that it takes to get on the ballot. I've actually participated in that process before when I ran for office. you either have to go around collecting all these signatures, but some of those signatures may be invalid, or you have to raise a whole lot of money. So the Democrats don't have to, they don't have the same hurdles that the Green Party has. So in Angela's eyes, the fact that the Green Party isn't on the ballot in all 50 states means that it's not a valid campaign. I don't think that is fair. And I'm going to get into more detail about it when she gets to her to that final question that really is going viral.
We are
No,
actually on
but
the ballot.
we will be on as write-ins in all of the states, with the exception of, I think it's South Dakota.
Indiana and Oklahoma.
That's right, those three states.
But we are on the ballot, not write-ins. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Well,
As a
so we
majority.
will be a choice, an anti-genocide, anti-war, pro-worker, pro-reparations, climate emergency choice, and the only one which has nationwide threshold. When this
Islam, going with your hands out to the Democrats, like Malcolm said, where they treat you like a political chump. You put them first, they put you.
Right, and I'm going to get into some quotes about what Malcolm X said about the Democrats, and also what LBJ said about the Democrats, or I'm sorry, Black Democrats specifically. There's a reason that Black people vote for the Democratic Party in such large numbers, and it's not good. If you're voting for a Democratic Party, and I'm not saying you should vote for the Republicans, but you should not be voting within a two-party system unless you're getting something for it.
Last, as Malcolm said, we erase that in this generation. We build Black businesses, Black Wall Street, and they can't burn it down this time. So by appearing in a forum like this, what is going to happen is we're going to get on a debate stage. And when this woman goes up on the debate stage, exactly, well, who knows? But the point is that as soon as we are in the mainstream media conversation, exactly, we have a watch party tonight. Go
You
ahead.
guys have a response.
We will be doing a response.
Did not meet the qualifications for ABC.
Incorrect.
The qualifications
Incorrect.
established by
incorrect.
an exclusionary framework
But
whose
y'all,
goal
I
is
think
to silence and throw off the
don't know that
ballot
that's what it is.
options
I think it's a
for
15%
voters.
threshold for you to be polling at least 15%.
Well, before that, there wasn't a 50.
See, and Angela Rye is trying to basically hold Joe Stein to the stand, or the Green Party to the standard of the Democrats. But there are different milestones that you get to, right? In this election, the first milestone was to get to 5%, which is very difficult. 5% was the threshold in order to get government funding. They were supposed to match that funding, but I guess the Democrats some kind of way prevented the Green Party from getting the funding they were supposed to get. So you get 5% and then you get 15%. But in Angela Rye's eyes, the Green Party is not making any progress at all. So they already got 5%, which is very difficult to do. I don't know if y'all noticed, but Jill Stein was not the original candidate. Cornel West was the original candidate. Jill Stein kind of got thrown in there at the last minute because he bailed out. And so she had to scramble to try to put a campaign together. So for her to get to 5% at the last minute was pretty much a miracle.
15% threshold when this
That's
was
pretty
run,
consistent.
when it was run by the League of Women Voters, before it was hijacked by the private corporations of the Democratic and Republican parties. Before they were in charge, it was whether or not you actually were going to be a amount of
Large mountain, but there's really
Healthy conversation.
he's been more open.
Healthy conversation.
We misconstrued.
An opportunity for negotiation, for hearing another perspective. I've been in the rooms with her on justice reform issues and others to help to convene those rooms.
So here's Angela Rye saying that we should just vote for Kamala and that we basically get an opportunity to negotiate. But as that Princeton study shows, the two-party system does not care about what the American people want. So putting them in office and then basically crossing your fingers and hoping for the best, that doesn't work. That's not an effective strategy. You put them in power, they're going to do what they always do. They're going to maintain the status quo. And the only reason that the Democrats are being pushed to move to the left is because of challengers like Jill Stein. So they're stealing her agenda. they're basically stealing her 2016 agenda and running on that. So they are behind the curve, and they're acting like these ideas came from them. They don't have any ideas. They're plagiarists at the end of the day. Everything that the Democrat Party is saying is derivative from the Green Party.
Where she's been more open, because what we do know about how politics works is that it can't just be this wish agenda. I love a lot of what you all have on your agenda. I'll call it the after 7 ready or not agenda. I'll give you the sun, the rain, the moon, the stars, and mountains. But there's really
who called it a wish list? You mean the same people that spend $1 trillion of y'all's money blowing up other people's kids are saying it's a wish list to have actual social programming? I'm sorry, that's propaganda, man. That's propaganda.
It's not propaganda. I'm saying it because I've worked on Capitol Hill. It's very difficult to get what you're trying to achieve. So just for example,
Jill can talk about what you can do just from the executive
Dr.
office.
Ware,
yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Just for an example, I'd love to know how many voting members in the United States House of Representatives?
So
now this is a gotcha question because I'm a political science major, and even though I know how many members there are in the House, if somebody were to ask me that on the spot, I probably would have to stop and think about it. I do know that there are 435 members, but the average person does not know that. I don't even think that somebody would ask Kamala Harris a question. Kamala Harris was in the Senate, so maybe Kamala Harris knows that. But for someone who's an outsider, ask Donald Trump how many members of representatives are in the House. I guarantee Donald Trump does not know that off the spot.
we have been blocked. The Democrats throw us off the ballot. They interfere. They put spies and infiltrators on our campaign.
How many voting members?
Compare us.
No. Answer the question. How many voting members in the United States House of Representatives, Republican, Democrat, and Independent? How many total?
How many?
Again, I don't think this is a fair question. This is not a pop quiz where you get to test someone's knowledge about the composition of Congress. Like, you're supposed to ask them about their policy. No other presidential candidate is going to be asked this kind of question. So she kind of caught her off guard to try to embarrass her, but whatever. I don't think it was a fair question. Let's listen to her response.
How many total are there? What is it? 600 some?
No, it's 435
plus 100 in the Senate, right?
100. Yes, I said House of Representatives. Okay. 100 in the Senate. Of those 435 in the House, of the 100 in the Senate, how many? Just one moment. I'm not trying to put you on the defense. I'm just saying this because the Hill is my passion. That's where I grew up as a professional, right?
Angela Rye thinks she's slick because at the end of the day, Angela Rye is not going to support Jill Stein anyway. She's just trying to embarrass her. Angela Rye is not doing this to be productive. She's just trying. I'm sure somebody already fed her this question.
How many of them are Green Party members?
Okay, I know where you're going with
I'm
this.
Not going
you are
anywhere.
attempting to show that the Greens are powerless. I want to make the point.
I was not trying to show you're powerless.
Well, this is...
Okay, I'm not even going to play this entire part of this segment. Basically, what she's trying to say is that Jill Stein doesn't have allies, and that's not even Jill Stein's strategy. Jill Stein's strategy is to basically, if she gets in power, then she's going to use her executive power to force them to move to the left. It's not for Jill Stein to garner allies. It's for them to become allies with her, because if she's the president, they're going to need her more than she needs them. So Angela Rye has this completely backwards. Now I have one last clip, the one clip that is going viral. Let's see what's the timestamp for that. 56:53. Here we go.
Having their heads knocked open, or you have the cops standing to the side at UCLA so the thugs can knock kids' heads open. So I'm sorry, the fear mongering ain't gonna work on me.
Yeah, this is the one that went viral. This is when Angela really went in.
The only thing that I would say to you is I think it's very dangerous rhetoric to say there are two sides of the same coin. I do think it's important for us to understand.
Dangerous to the Democrats, yes.
I think.
Well, then I would like for Angela Rye to tell us what is the difference. What is the substantive difference between the Democrats and Republicans? We know that their rhetoric is different. We know that they claim the Democrats claim that they're for the American people, they're for the workers, they're anti-war. when you look at their policy, they vote exactly the same. So you're going to see some minor differences when it comes to things that really are state issues like abortion and I don't know, same-sex marriage. But when you look at their actual policies, their national, they're exactly the same.
I think it's dangerous to all of us, actually. I
Yeah,
don't have that privilege.
we disagree.
I understand. We do on a lot, but we also agree on a lot. But here's one thing I think we can agree on. Either you win or lose this election. There's really no in-between.
No, and this is something that Emma Goldman wrote about within capitalism. Like, the only barometer of a person's worth is success, that there's winners and losers. And that's a narcissistic way of looking at things. Narcissists think that I have to win, you have to lose. No, we all can win. And even if Jill Stein doesn't necessarily win, she still is pushing her agenda. So Angela Rye is a capitalist at the end of the day. And her benchmark is going to be how much money did you make, how popular you are. So because Jill Stein isn't as popular as Kamala, she's not winning elections. To her, Jill Stein is a failure. I mean, it's just even the fact that the Democratic Party is stealing her platform, that doesn't count for anything. It's just you didn't win, and that's the end of the story. So winners and losers, that's and I do want to get to Emma Goldman, but I know when I talk about, the philosophy behind it, that gets a little bit boring, but that's the way capitalists think. You're either a winner or you're a loser.
Dr. Stein, in 2002, you ran for governor of Massachusetts and you lost. In 2004, you ran for state representative in Massachusetts and you lost. In 2006, you ran for secretary of the Commonwealth. You also lost. In 2010, you ran for governor again, this time against the first black governor in Massachusetts, Debacle.
So she has to make it about race, that Jill Stein ran against black people. And what? So because they're black, they're supposed to be put in office automatically, even though their agenda does not even benefit the black community. So, I mean, we have this whole history of black overseers, right? You know that. You know that if you're black, you can still be a white supremacist. And Jill Stein actually pretty much calls her a white supremacist, which she didn't take to what I'm glad that Jill Stein said that.
Patrick, you lost. In 2012, you ran against this country's first black president, and you got just less than 0.5% of total votes cast. In 2016, you ran against Donald Trump and Hillary.
You know that they are blaming Jill Stein for the fact that Hillary Clinton lost that election in 2016. So if Jill Stein's presence on the ballot was so insignificant, that's what she's saying. Then why are they still blaming her for the fact that Hillary Clinton lost that election? Clearly, Jill Stein's presence on the ballot was consequential.
Hillary Clinton losing significantly with 1.4 million votes cast for you, but 0 electoral college votes, which I agree with y'all needs to be abolished. But 136 million people voted. And you lost that election as well. So I want to know what the pathway to victory is for you in 2024. It can't just be.
Now, I'd like to provide a different.
Again, there's benchmarks. There's benchmarks in between winning and losing. And the benchmark for her campaign was to first get 5%. And by the way, it's not just about Jill Stein. Jill Stein is trying to help other Green Party candidates get on the ballot in state and local elections. And by Jill Stein running, she's helping other people to run also, and she's supporting their campaigns. But Angela Rye is not looking at the nuance. She's just looking at the fact that she lost, not even the fact that Jill Stein got the 5%, which is a huge milestone. The fact that Jill Stein is edging her way to 15%, and maybe in the next election, maybe they will get to 15%. So she's growing the party. You have to start with at some point, and Angela Rye is not looking at that. She's just looking at it as you lost, and that's the end of the story. I don't think that Angela Rye is being honest, but let's listen to Jill Stein's response.
Shut your mouth. Watch your fucking mouth.
I want to provide.
And I also
Can I respond, please?
And Kamala Harris supporter.
I want y'all to really pay attention to Jill Stein, because Jill Stein is still resting on femininity. She's not. I mean, a lot of people think that femininity is weak, but you can actually be strong and be feminine at the same time. You don't have to resort to being masculine. You don't have to be all loud and ratchet, which Angela Rye is, by the way. And for those who want to come for me because I'm criticizing Angela Rye is not a black woman. She does not represent the black community. She's not even black racially, but even ethnically, I think she identifies as a Dominican or something. She's not a black American. I don't know what she thinks she is, but Angela Rye does not speak for the black community. And she thought that because this was her home turf that everybody was going to side from her. But even in the comment section, nobody was siding with Angela Rye.
Y'all bring it
May I
back.
respond?
Go ahead, Angela. Go ahead.
Well, I
Dr.
would
Stein.
like to respond.
Yeah.
This is the framing of the empire and the oligarchy and white supremacy and colonialism, which wants you to feel that resistance is futile. This is about voter blaming and voter shaming.
let me just
See, Angela Rye didn't like that because Angela Rye has to have the moral high ground. She's the one who determines whether someone is a white supremacist. The fact that a white woman is calling her a white supremacist does not sit well with her. And I just love it. I just ate this up. I'm so glad that Jill Stein said that. And a lot of the people in the comment section were agreeing with Jill Stein. She's a white supremacist in blackface. And I don't know if y'all watched the whole thing. It's not about... I want to break it down. You know that white is not a race, right? That is it's a social construct. It's a social status. Caucasian is a race, but whiteness is a social status, and so is blackness. The technical name for a black person is Negroid, and then Caucasoid. Those are actual races, but white and black, those are not races. That's a social status. And Angela Rye is a white supremacist. She's elitist. She's a capitalist. She's a statist. She'll sit up here and try to weaponize her race to try to shame other people into going along with her agenda. But Angela Rye is so full of shit, and she's not the only one. A lot of these black people on social media, they get on CNN and all. They're not pro-black. They're pro-capitalist. What they want is to benefit their own position. They want to climb up the ladder and then pull up behind them. Just like Jasmine Crockett. Jasmine Crockett is another one. She'll brag about the fact that she's an attorney and you don't have a law license like me. I'm special. This is what they do. So they don't represent us.
No.
To,
what you're not going to say is that I'm ever parroting anything at the hands of white supremacy. This is something that's very different. This is me asking you again. It's a binary choice in an election.
Out that
it's not a binary choice. They're trying to frame it as a binary choice, but there are other choices. We don't have to support the Democratic Party. I'm sorry, Democrat. I know I'm not saying that correctly. It's supposed to be not Democratic.
It is either a win or a lot. No, it's not
the same talking points
no.
that the DNC
I didn't get my talking.
uses.
This is not DNC talking points. This is my research. And sadly for you, the research says you have never won an election. You have been successful in pushing forward certain agendas as an advocate.
Right. They keep stealing her agenda. So look at her getting all nasty and ratchet. This is not femininity. And I don't care. I think that you should have a balance, but this is masculinity. And because Angela Rye has a certain aesthetic, nobody's going to call her masculine, even though she is.
But you have never won an election as a candidate.
One
is that a
party.
winning strategy?
So in order to win, a journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step. And in this case, it's many steps. Let me point out, please. You need to compare the Green Party, not with those who are taking money from AIPAC and the War Machine and Wall Street.
You've got to compare
us. Excuse me. You have to compare us to other grassroots, non-corporate.
She told me I'm a white supremacist. Okay.
We need.
See how she's stuck on that? She's really triggered. Yeah, I'm doing okay. I'm still dealing with my lawsuit with my aunt, which I don't know if I should update you guys on that until it's over, but yeah, I guess I'm doing it. I'm actually on vacation right now, and I wanted to do this before, but I've been busy with my own stuff, so I'm kind of doing this late in the game. But I appreciate your support. I'm doing okay. I'm pretty much done with this. I don't know if y'all want to. I don't even know if I should even bother posting a link because I already know nobody's going to come up. But who are y'all going to vote for? Like, before the election, I'm when a League of Women Voters posts their voter guide, I'm actually going to go through it so that I can show y'all how I do it, because it's not just about the presidential election. There's also state and local offices that y'all need to actually go through and compare which candidate you want to vote for, and don't do a straight party ticket. That is the laziest way to vote, and it's not going to represent what you actually. It's not going to represent your interests, right? There are candidates who actually do support your interests, but you're not going to know about them unless you research them. The media is not going to provide you with this information. It's up to you to go find out this information for yourself. So look at all the candidates, even the Green Party, the Libertarians, the Independents. You need to find out who's on the ballot and compare them. And then you can have a list of who you want to vote for prior to the election. Come to the ballot. You don't have to waste your time trying to figure out who is this person. You already know who you're going to vote. That's how I do it. So, yeah. There's so much I want to cover. I just don't have as much time as I would like, but I did want to cover this, even though I'm doing this late in the game. So many people have already covered this, but yeah, main thing is Jill Stein is not dealing with the same uphill battle that other parties are dealing with. She's fighting to get media coverage. She has to raise money. She's getting attacked by the Democratic Party and thrown off ballots. She's helping other local candidates. And yeah, it's not even comparable it's not fair to try to compare her to the Democrats. And then they're stealing her ideas at the same time. And then they don't even know that these ideas came from her. I can't believe that Kamala Harris is claiming that she's running a people power movement. And I was trying to find the ad to show y'all that Kamala Harris just stole that. She stole that line from Jill Stein. This is absolutely pathetic. All right, y'all. I'm going to go ahead and end this live stream. Be sure to post some comments and then let me know what y'all want me to cover in the future.